Mario Antonio Martinez. I'm presently a student with college online campus studies at Columbia College, and I am pursuing an environmental science associate's. I would like to start by saying that this speech is going to be contrasted frequently from my asserting from the stuff that it's on. Nextly, I'd like to cover that it would be to be more efficient towards speech delivery, challenging both the negative and the positive aspect to the quality and points of ideas to speak more confidently and clearly. I assert this responsibility of verbal dialogue to any speech coherence and of designer's presentation. Something that everyone likes to avoid is being puzzled with, what they understand from a message with everything. A common stress of verbal dialogue and creating a speech format in my own speech analysis is that the amount of content that is discussed likes or one tends to want to place more intellectually, give it a credibility or some gesture or genuine sense, and that adds to a point of view. Ultimately, I critique for that. But in using this note aid, it's not the same as reading out of the context of an outline, which I can see is improvisation on my own behalf to say that it is not impromptu, but improvisionary to be related to using note taking and talking and addressing and trying to make eye contact. And I find it that it arranges the regard of focusing speaker's message, while meanwhile it develops, insight that you engage with, or that you pivot from your speech to construct it, with some rapport for the elements of the speech, which in turn affects your own nervousness about it, and that can affect some connections. So I want to analyze the elements and to take an example, verbatim, or the verbatim that distinctively is uncontextual bias towards this part of my essay here, where oppositely verbatim is based for communication in the informational process, which is key here for differentiation. An audience thinks it's appreciated. I like to think there's a distinctive form in the speech which is direct. One can be informational, one can be instructional, one can be of concept, and one can be direct. But the direct suggestive context and the points that are composing a visual aid, general with multiple topics from verbatim, in some way is to say it's informative narrative, vice or versus someone who gathers something that a speaker actually can refer to, which could interest more of word choice or the separate equal things and distractions. I like to imagine both are fact and factors, the informational style and the personal focus. I think engaging predictability with speech delivery concisely and then moreover the proofing process and gaining a more mindful position is good for managing the skill building and the self-analysis. Objective about me here would be that in my analysis I explained that I don't familiarize myself much with what the class can offer and the skill to implement. right? So it's not as much as a factor in being impromptu of what to say and, you know, not having performed a lot of speech for studies or speaking particularly on my own behalf at doing presentations. I would think that in order to establish my view here, or to differentiate visual aid and outlining in a class and critique of this assignment, means that, okay, I take my career goal seriously. And using communication and speech principles is complementary to using, say, an outline and visual aids. These are puzzling things when you're trying to cluster a lot of things and you got a pile of papers and you got to designate things on cards. And say that this is my note card that I'm showing at the beginning of my speech, but really, I could have an audience here of 3 dogs, but I don't think I can get by. Or somebody doing jumping jacks dressed in notes. Well, anyhow, look, my point of view is this. I'm trying to dedicate efforts that are appreciative to the communicative process and what more to be specific of, which overcomes the impromptu factor and making a cohesive delivery, regardless of the prosodic of the speech. And for investing more personal effort towards the negative and the potentially positive ways to improvise content. Moreover, it's common that, that giving quality to the focus and importantly, using the so-called nonverbal language, I would benefit in proofing the channeling of the dialogue to compensate building motivation and confidence, importantly. And also for linking the speaker's logical key points and rather than the obstacles of the signposts. And the, emphasis can be gestural and suggestive. With this, I am going to end my speech.